Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Unfuck Your Relationships podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Panning, and this is episode 222. We love the angel numbers. How good, because doesn't 222 represent like relationships and partner dynamics and union and all of the things? So we love this. We love this. Okay, so to recap, episode 220 was about anxious attachment blind spots. Episode 221 last week was about dismissive avoidant blind spots. And this week we are going to go into the fearful avoidant blind spots. If you do not know what fearful avoidant is, let me introduce you. This was my dominant attachment style. And I can still see where this like plays out a little bit as like, you know, getting into this new relationship. I'm like, oh, okay, I haven't seen you in a while. And it's interesting because these things are still going to show up as you journey towards secure. Okay. It's not just like you're secure now forever for the rest of your life. Things are going to pop up. Triggers are going to happen. And it's not even like, just a little side note about whether you're fearful, dismissive, anxious, whatever it is. It's not just the unhealthy partners who are going to trigger you, okay? It's often the healthy partners who are going to trigger you because, as I said in one of my podcast episodes, the brain prefers a familiar hell than an unfamiliar heaven. So when you get into that healthy relationship, it might feel destabilizing and it might feel like, whoa, what the fuck? I don't know what this is. Oh my God, I don't know how to do this. So your patterns might come up. That's okay. It's about having the awareness to clock it, own it, clean it up, and do something differently at the end of the day. So fearful avoidance, right? Well, let's actually recap. So the anxious person overuses emotion and underuses logic, whereas the avoidant or dismissive avoidant person overuses logic and underuses emotion, okay? You can see why they go together because one person gets to be in the logic, one person gets to be in the emotion, but then they're over-functioning and carrying that part of the relationship in all areas. The fearful avoidant, and the fearful avoidant is essentially, another term would be like anxious avoidant. So this is the, you know, come here, go away, or I need you, don't fucking touch me, okay? Now, the fearful avoidant has access to both logic and emotion, but they don't use them together. So a secure person also has access to logic and emotion, but they use them simultaneously. So they can be in, ooh, is this person a good fit for me? Do we have compatibility? Do we have shared values? Okay, I can see this person's point of view. That makes sense. I can understand where they're coming from. I have compassion. They also have the emotional side where they're like, I really love them. Like, I love how I feel around them. I feel a lot of love, or I feel hurt and this hurt my feelings. And they're able to then communicate from a space of logic and feeling. The fearful avoidant does not do that. So the fearful avoidant gets stuck in one and then pendulum swings to the other. So for instance, they are like all heart and all emotion until they are overwhelmed and flooded by how much emotion there is. And then they go into full shutdown and withdrawal and being fully in their logic brain and not being able to fully show up in the relationship. Now, this one is one of the most challenging attachment styles to work with because, like, if you have this, I feel compassion for you because, hi, same. And this, you know, at least when you're with someone who's dismissive avoidant or you're with someone who's anxious, you kind of know what you're going to get. Whereas this can be so destructive to relationships because your partners often get emotional whiplash where they don't know what they're going to get with you. They don't know if you're going to be all heart or you're going to be all logic, or are you in today or are you out today? And that can be really destabilizing for someone over the long-term period because ultimately what builds healthy relationships is consistency, That doesn't mean you're not going to have an occasional panic moment or freak out or question the relationship, but overall, you're not hot and cold. And that is, yeah, really destabilizing. And it's not coming from a place of you wanting to be hot and cold. That's just how you have learned to be in relationship. And that is absolutely something that can be healed. But the reality is that you don't need more logic or more emotion. You need integration. You need to be able to stay in the feeling and the logic and have access to both and know when each one needs to weigh in, which is what the secure person is really good at. So how the FA shows up in relationships is going into hyperactivation, so more anxious. And this could be, your proximity seeking. You need a lot of closeness. You want a lot of reassurance and validation and all of the things. And then going into deactivation, where this is more avoidant. And so you're cool, you're clinical, maybe there's disgust, maybe this is where the ick comes in. Oh, I've got the ick. Oh, I need to leave. Oh, I don't like the way they laugh. Oh, I don't like their shoes. Whatever it is, right? That's a very intelligent deactivating strategy, right? Like it just is. Like, I think when we talk about the ick, people throw it around like it's really funny, and it is, I understand that, but it's also, so much deeper than that, in that that's a really good strategy for your brain to be like, we need to get the fuck out of here. Have you seen their laugh? That's atrocious. We need to leave. And then you do, because you listen to it, because you believe your brain, you believe your ego, essentially, and not, the truth of actually what's going on and being able to see beyond your own bullshit. So, in that deactivating strategy, you can't access the warmth that you had last week. And so you're going to be like, I don't understand what happened. And that's also destabilizing to your partners. Now, it's not that hyperactivation starts and then deactivation. It can go either way, right? And so what happens is most FA, fearful avoidant, most FAs lean one way or the other for 70 to 80% of the time. So for me, I lean more anxious, more like I'm in, until you get flooded, or until you're like under stress, and then there's a flip. And so then you'll go into the other. So then when there's too much for me, then I'll go a little bit avoidant. So you might be the other way. You might lean more avoidant. And then when there's, your partner's like, okay, well, I'm not going to like try that much anymore. Then you're like, oh my God. And you become really anxious. Oh no, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. And then you get them back and it's all lovey-dovey for like a week. And then you're like, okay, I need to like go the other way. And so that's typically how it works. I want you to think about, okay, well, which way do I lean most, or which way do I lean most of the time? And then what needs to happen for me to then pendulum swing into the other? So what actually happens in FA relationships, and this is really interesting, is this narrative around I lost myself. And I'm laughing because I'm like, I literally have said this, and this is so funny that I'm now speaking on this, because I've said this about past relationships, like, oh, I've really lost myself. When in actuality, what was happening was, yeah, there's truth to I lost myself, but also I was being confronted with the parts of myself that I would hide. So whether that was someone who was more avoidant, or someone who had substance abuse issues, or, whatever. And so, for instance, I dated someone who had a problem with alcohol, and I had to look at, okay, you could make the correlation. Oh, am I an alcoholic? No. Okay, so then, well, how is that reflecting any part of me? What am I addicted to? Okay. He's addicted to alcohol. I'm addicted to him. Right? It's like codependency. So it's not looking at the literal, it could be a literal translation, if they have a problem with alcohol, what's your relationship with alcohol? It could be literal like that, but maybe they're addicted to something. What are you addicted to? Maybe you're addicted to them. Maybe you're addicted to fixing them, to having them be your project. So it's looking beyond the veil of what you actually believe in the moment. And so again, from that space of I lost myself, you didn't. It's just the parts of yourself that you had suppressed came online. So maybe you're in a relationship where this person pulls out an angry side of you. And so the loop then becomes, I don't want to be angry. Okay, push it down, 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 explosion. Oh, you're such an angry bitch. When it's like, fuck, right? And so then because you're trying to push it down, it erupts later and it's messy and it's destabilizing and it's destructive to the relationship and it hurts both of you. And I know that there's a lot of shame because I've experienced this myself, where I'm like, oh, fuck, like I didn't want to do that. And then, in the past, this would have been back in my 20s before I, started doing the work. I'd be like, and you made me do that, right? Like you're the reason. Like I wouldn't be so angry if it weren't for you. And it's like, no, anger was always there within me, right? So, this is about you owning these parts within yourself rather than looking to, oh, well, I need a new partner. They're triggering me too much. And I can't tell you whether the relationship that you're in is the right relationship for you or not. Like, one, I don't know you. And also, like, that's just never my place to say unless there's obvious abuse there. But you need to look at your own patterns that you are bringing into the relationship versus what they are and are not doing. And what I have found in this dynamic is the more that you try and uphold the mask, of the persona, which is, the cool girl or the caregiver or the rescuer or the strong independent woman or whatever it is, whatever way you lean, the more distance happens in the relationship and the more this disconnect comes between the logic and the emotion. And you're trying so hard to uphold this mask that when big things happen, like big life adjustments, you become official or you get engaged or you move in together or you've had a baby or sex feels a bit different or you're going through menopause or whatever it is, that in those states of potentially highly stressful environments, the flip becomes so much more obvious to you and to everyone around you. You can feel those masks disintegrating and it's like, I just have this vision of you just like Lego spilled all over the floor and being like, this like mad rush and dash to get all the fucking Lego pieces and like put back your Lego castle and be like, it's fine, look. And it's like, no, the fucking Lego's all over the floor and there's a mess and all the things. And that's the thing when you have created this false sense of reality, this mask that you are hiding behind because you're overly focused on logic or overly focused on emotion or whatever it is, the greater the fall. And so what we want to do is bring emotion online, logic online, not get into the pendulum swing, and come into relationships from a space of authenticity. And that only can happen if you're being authentic to yourself, first and foremost. And piggybacking off that, you're not going to be balanced all of the time. You're not going to have logic and feelings both together equal 100% of the time. There's going to be times where you're leaning more heavily on one than the other, right? So feelings are data. It shows us the impact that people have had on us. It shows us our level of attraction, our level of emotional safety, our capacity. Like there's so much that feelings give us as data. Feelings are not facts. Feeling is just data, right? And then logic is steering. So it helps us ascertain our values, our goals, our deal breakers, timing, all of these things that help us show up in a relationship and choose relationships that are really healthy for us, where we can see the other person's side, we can see our side. It's like, oh, it makes sense, right? And integration is about making decisions from both of those spaces. So having access to those, like this is the thing, FAs get such a bad rap because it's really fucking hard to be in a relationship with an FA and to be an FA as well. It is. And I also think if you resonate with this attachment style that you can give yourself more compassion and more grace and more love because one, shame is not going to get you anywhere. Shame is not going to make it feel better. Shame is not going to help you course correct. Shame is not going to help you show up better in relationships. Shame is not going to get you anywhere. Love, compassion, empathy, curiosity, gentleness, openness, surrender, all of these things are what is going to support you in actually showing up and being met in a relationship in a successful way. So, more on how FAs typically lean one way or the other, because I just find this really, really intriguing and interesting. Like I said, someone who leans more anxious, they're still FA. This is how it's typically going to play out. Most days, you're going to be warm and loving and connected. But then when under stress or when you're under pressure, you will deactivate and you'll become cold, aloof, detached. You've got the ick, whatever it is, and that's destabilizing. If you're an FA leaning more avoidant, then most days you're going to be more analytical, more independent, more like, I've got myself, that's okay. But under intimacy stress, so if you fear abandonment and you feel a perceived rejection or abandonment wound popping up, maybe your partner is like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I want to leave. Or maybe it's something a lot more subtle than that. Then this is where you're going to really lean in and you're going to panic attach. And oh my God, no, I'm going to be different. Oh, this time's different. I promise. You're going to test them. You're going to test their love and their loyalty for you. You are going to demand proof, of their love or whatever it is. So you can see how that really plays out. And for the anxious person, your blind spot is you go into fantasy and wanting to merge really, really quickly. But then again, under stress, you deactivate and are like, no, I've got the ick. No, and I don't want to do that. And also, there's this sense of moral superiority with an anxious leaning FA. Like, God, get my words out. There's a sense of moral superiority in like, I would never do that. Right? Oh, I'm not like that. I'm not avoidant, right? Like I said, like people shit all over avoidance. And I'm like, I understand it. Like I get it, So there's a sense of moral superiority where the blind spot in the avoidant leaning FA is this shame and embarrassment and almost like feeling of humiliation around having needs in the first place. And so they never want to show that. And there's also their own sense of moral superiority in not needing anyone, right? Like they have that same sense of like, I would never do that. Like I would never lean on someone. I would never depend on someone. I would never like be this needy or whatever it is. And that's just simply not true because you can see that, the anxious person, when they're stressed, they do exactly that and they become cold and withdrawn and avoidant. And the avoidant, when they're stressed, they become like, oh my God, please don't leave me, panicky, all of that. So like there's fucking no moral superiority at all. You're not better than anyone ever. So what's really important for you is to look at both dashboards, right? So both the logic and the emotion. So asking yourself, how do I feel when I'm with them? 70% of the time. Do I feel calm? Do I feel relaxed? Do I feel open? Do I feel at ease? Do I feel curious? How is my body responding to them? Are we able to play? Are we able to laugh? Do I like the person that I am showing up as when I'm with them? So these are all things you want to check in with your body, right? And this is more of the emotional side. Then coming into more facts, right? Are they consistent with time? Are they consistent with plans? Do their words align with their actions? How have they been showing up over the past week, 3 months, 6 months, year, whatever it is, right? And actually getting into the logic side of, do you know what? Actually, they're really consistent. Like, I think I shared this before where the person that I'm dating, where I was like, oh, my biggest fear is like being fucking blindsided. And they were like, yeah, I get that. And look at every area of my life where I'm consistent in every area of my life and have been for over a decade. And I was like, I mean, Yeah. And also how they show up with me has been nothing but consistent. So that's really important to be like, oh, okay, my brain is being hijacked by my emotions and I'm okay. And then coming into the future. So do our future visions align, right? Do our logistics, our values, our shared vision, our goals, our shared interests, do we want the same things out of life? Like, is there genuine compatibility for the future to actually last long term? And then also looking at overall, am I the same person with them that I am with my closest friends or, you know, at work, or things that are really important to you where you feel like you can be yourself? Work is probably not a great example, to be fair. But, and of course there's going to be differences, like I'm different with my best friend than I am with my partner, but there's still a level of like, I feel that I can be myself. I can express myself. And so that's more of the emotional side as well. Okay, so then when do you know when to work on it or to leave? When you would work on it is when you can discuss the behaviors or the actions or the lack of action, and you can actually make a plan and you can see concrete changes within a span of a month, probably within a few weeks to a month. And you can see, oh, okay, it might not be overnight or a complete 180, but you can see a consistent change. Ah, okay, cool. This person is willing to do the work. When to walk away is when whiplash is daily or weekly or just like 80 to 90% of the time. When contempt is present consistently, so contempt is like basically a disrespect for your partner, or where you feel like you are compromising on your values or non-negotiables. That goes for any relationship that I would walk away from that 100%. So for my FAs who lean more anxious, here's what I would give you. I want you to keep a practical scorecard of the things that are like, oh, this is really important to me. Like these are behaviors that are really important to me. And also like your non-negotiables, right? So your relationship, the deal breakers and the deal makers of, is this person demonstrating these things for me? And does this make sense, right? Can you keep your non-negotiable anchors, your friendships, your work, your hobbies, your self-care, all of these things, and make sure that you are really connected to those things and you are not abandoning yourself. Don't give up your life for another person, okay? For my avoidants, my FAs who lean more avoidant, this is you leaning into small amounts of disclosure, okay? So not revealing all parts of you, because then you're going to get way too flooded and be like, oh my God, that was fucking way too much, and then swing the other way, and shut down, but actually leaning into micro moments of vulnerability, micro moments of intimacy and all of those things, and then regulating yourself through that. And practice direct asks without justifying or being weird or whatever. Just like actually make the ask and have clarity in your ask, and be okay if that person needs to negotiate or they can't meet that need or whatever it is. The point is you asking. That's where things are really going to switch for you. And so to sum this all up, it's about knowing, okay, I lean more anxious, cool. So I need to come into equilibrium. I lean more avoidant, cool. I need to come more into equilibrium. And it's bringing yourself to that middle ground, because you have this beautiful gift where you can use logic and emotion, but it's your blind spot is not getting stuck in one or the other and pendulum swinging and then having this drastic swing to the other side, okay? So if this resonates with you, then please, 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 please join the Connected Woman. I swear this has been the work that has changed everything for me, and I know that it will do the same for you. We're starting on the 20th of October. I think this episode may be out before, maybe out after, but you can still join, which is very exciting. And we would love to have you inside. We go through all of this. All the patterns and ego and projections and triggers and understanding men and boundaries and inner child and reactivity and like just literally everything that you could ever want in a program that is going to heal this so you can become secure is inside that program. So the link will be in the description. I love you so much. Have a beautiful day. Have a beautiful week. I'll see you next week. Bye.